Well, buddy,
Hello,
I'm
how's
so excited to chat with you today. I know we were talking. I was like, buddy, we better get recording or we're just going to keep talking. So
how are you doing, Erica?
I'm great. So I want to start so that everyone listening and watching can get to know you a little bit better. We're going to talk, some holistic health today. We're going to talk about the gallbladder, liver, whatever else comes up that we're gonna chat about. So I want everyone to get to know you a little bit better, know why you are so passionate about helping people heal their body, and we'll go from there.
I'm passionate about helping heal the body because I, along with almost every health coach, wellness coach of significant proportions, we all got in it for one reason because our bodies were ourselves were going through something and we were leaning on a lot of medical. I'm not going to diss the medical industry because there's a place for it, obviously. But is there answers there? Not a lot compared to what I feel is out here. And the reason I got into this business was simply because I found myself 8 years I suffered with pain, right upper quadrant pain, mid thorax pain, gastro pain, all this kind of stuff, and nobody was able. I was put on medications. I was on 9 medications at the time of my surgery, and the reality of it is none of them were really needed. And when I say they weren't needed, I was on 2 blood pressure medicines. So I'm going to kind of go into my story real quick.
Yeah,
So
I love that.
I had emergency gallbladder surgery in 2015, and but prior, so we're gonna just remember April 27th, 2015. It's my son's birthday, but it was a significant day because of how close uh, and I will say this, and then we'll go backwards. The moment I came out of surgery, I heard when I come out of anesthesia, and I was alert enough to understand. The doctor was telling my family, right now he's got 1 foot on my table and 1 foot in the grave
Wow.
after my surgery.
Wow.
So that was, and I'll be brutally honest. Not that I'm already brutally honest, and if I cuss a little, I'm sorry, but that's me. Is that was a huge freaking wake up call at the age of 50. This being, I mean, I was like, I'm 50 years of age and quality of life is, in fact, life itself is almost over. That's when I made a decision. Probably this shit's got to stop. No pun intended. There's got to be a better way. Now, I didn't put all that into coherently, but in my head, I was terrified that I've got 2 beautiful sons that are just like a lot of other moms and dads out there. They're on their careers. They're making their life. They're not married yet though, but they got their vision and the focus and the excitement of being a parent, watching your children be better than you. That was exciting for me and still is exciting for me. But I want to see what's out there. I want to see what the grandkids look like and the great grandkids. I want to see them blossom. And at that moment, within just I'm not going to see that. That was life altering to me. I'm like, this something's got to change. So anyway, go back 8 years. Prior to that, I'm having gout attacks like crazy. This is, so this would be back 2007, 8, all this kind of stuff. Financial crisis. Look, stress was a major, major thing in a lot of us. I deal with stress well? I thought I did, but evidently not. But real quick, so we go through all this stuff, and every year it seemed like something was happening to me. And I'm one of these. I'm of the old farm school. We had row crops. And don't diss me on poisoning the plant and all that stuff. But I mean, I was a row crop farmer, commercial farmer, cows, dairy, the whole 9 yards.
Hey, buddy,
And
that's okay. I grew up on a farm. My dad raised cattle,
okay, okay.
corn, soybeans.
But hey, but in today's society, Eric, I don't want your podcast getting dinged because I'm poisoning the planet. And it's like, look,
No.
we all made mistakes in the past. We make changes, and you go on. And the deal is, there's a lot of stuff on that farm that I grew up, sprays and chemicals and stuff, and heavy metals that you don't really know about. But the deal is this. So I suffered for 8 years. I suffered. Now, I'm sure I was having issues before that, but I've always had digestive issues, always. And I thought it was normal, just to be honest. I thought it was normal. But when I came out of the, when I started really going through this thing and stacking the pills, I keep saying brutally honest, but I don't know other way I got to word it differently because I'm doing it the most honest way I know to do it, but at the same time I'm trying to figure it out. And when I say I'm trying to figure it out, in my head, it was like every year, like let's just say two more pills, two more pills, two more pills, and all of a sudden I find myself taking 9 different medications, but nothing's getting better. And more importantly, of the 9 medications, now I've got issues that those medications are causing, and they're wanting to add more to it to to remedy the other medication. And it's in my head. I'm just like, this can't be right. I mean, it's there's got to be. And so, but in the same breath, what what do I do? How do I get these medical professionals to? And I didn't know the term root cause. I didn't know that term, but it's like there's got to be, where did this come from? So I'm on two blood pressure medications. Part of the pain, I have pain all of a sudden. So let's just say 3 years before my surgery, so 2012, they put me on Lexapro and Prozac because these pains, they would hit me, and then by the time I got into the doctor, they would be kind of subsiding, and they're like, you know what? I think all this is in your freaking head.
So
And
wait a
so,
minute.
oh yeah,
They didn't suspect any gallbladder or
I know.
anything. They just
So
put you on
wait do you hear it.
medication. That blows my mind.
And I'm going to put a snapshot right here in this conversation. Um, I've got a gallbladder group on Facebook, gallbladder and gallstone support group, 25,000 members.
Wow, that's amazing. That's needed.
Now,
It's needed.
that story, that shock that you just had, you would be dumbfounded if you saw how many people that come into our group that exact scenario has played out over time. The gallbladder, gallstones are kind of the last thing a lot of doctors look at. Why? I do not know. But it's like, it literally is on, let's check the liver enzymes. Oh, your liver enzymes are a little bit elevated. Then it could be you've had a stress attack. It could be this. It's like, why in the hell can you not just go straight and check it all? Right? I don't know. I do not know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. I can't, I have my suspicions that it's insurance related, that it's like
Oh,
you got to go step 1, step 2, step 3. You got a 5-step program, and you're asking me to go to step 5, but we're only on step 2, and insurance won't cover it if we go out of sync. I don't know if that's the case. Could be. That's my opinion. That's what I think it is, because I do know, flipping the coin, when uh, in a real life experience after my surgery and after becoming the gallbladder guru. That's what I'm called online.
I know. I love it.
My wife is the one who affectionately coined it, and but she's got gallstones, so she would be one of those that's asymptomatic. She's got them; they don't bother her, but once in a blue moon, and she'll find a trigger food that her, or pecans. If she eats pecans, pecan pie, or not pecan pie, just a handful of pecans are good for you because they've got good fats and they've got good fiber. If she eats pecans, the fat's in there or something, it triggers her, and she will have some right upper gastric pain, and it will be like, man, and she has to do different things to relieve that pain. That said, she's in that clump of ladies that she's got gallstones. She's been diagnosed as such. It's on her record, but they're asymptomatic, which means they're not bothering her. Right? So they're there, but it is what it is. And for uh, the conversation part of it, that if they don't, they see that, then that's fine. So when we went, before we had her ultrasound, when she went in and she's like, "Hey doc, I'm having right upper quadrant pain and blah, blah, blah last night." "Well, we can do this." And I looked him straight in the face and I said, "No, you just cut to the chase. You do an ultrasound right now on her and a CT scan, find out what her gallstone, say she's got gallstones."
So do
And,
you
and
need,
he,
is it ultrasound? Do you need to do both ultrasound and CT?
a
So
lot of,
I'm
a lot of doctors will do that.
okay.
Again, I get, is there a rhyme or reason? I don't know. I think some have liberty, but a lot of them will do. I think they do ultrasound because it's super fast. They can lay you down like you do
Yeah.
when you're looking for your baby. They can do that. But CT scan obviously involves a radioactive tracer isotope that they put in you, and it does give a much clearer picture for that kind of stuff. And so they did both on her, and there the gallstones were. And, he was like, but what they'll say is when we went in the first time to her doctor, I just cut to the chase. I said, "Look," I said, "I know you're going to want to do this, this, and this. Here's what I think she's got gallstones. I think I know what I'm talking about. She needs an ultrasound and a CAT scan right now." And he did not even bat an eye. He goes,
That's good.
"Let's get it
So
scheduled."
this is why, sorry to interrupt, but this is why having these conversations I think is so important, because all it takes is we could help even just one person listening that's like, "Oh my gosh, this sounds like me. I get that upper quadrant pain or that."
Advocate. Well, when we go through
Yeah.
in a minute about stuff, but advocate for yourself. Ask, and this is what is really another thing that in the group we've got a segment called, I think everybody that's in a Facebook group knows they got guides and they've got little places of files and stuff. We have a segment called guides, and one of those guides is questions to ask your doctor and your surgeon. I am blown away at how many people, "I can do this." Well, wait a minute, you're going to surgery. You've got every right in the world to ask a million questions to satisfy your fear, your curiosity, your whatever. Just ask them. So we tell them, print them out, put them on your phone. They're in picture form. So put them on your phone, get to your doctor, blow it up. "Hey, I need to ask you these questions." And here's what I tell everybody. So this is a teaching moment. If you pull up your phone and you've got this document or a document with questions to ask your doctor, and your doctor rolls his eyes, look him straight in the face and say, "You're fired." Find you a doctor who says, "Erica, what do you got?" "Hey, I got some questions." "Shoot, let's throw them at me. Let's see what you got."
Yeah.
If
Great
they won't
advice.
take the time, if they will not take the time and they roll their eyes like, "Oh God, here's somebody who just Erica's went to Dr. Google and now I got a list of this crap." Doesn't matter. You know your body better than anybody on the planet, or you should.
Yes,
I will
you
say that
should.
you should, and I mean that in every little itty bitty way. If you ladies know what I'm talking about, and men too, every little itty bitty way, you should know your body well enough to say, "Hey, I'm having a twitch here, or a pain here, or I'm having this kind of thought or that kind of thought." And if your doctor will not listen to you, fire his, you know what, and find another. So the reason I'm so passionate about it, this is what happened to me. So we're going to flash back to Buddy. I'm on 9 medications. I have had pain like you wouldn't believe. I had gout so bad in my knees I couldn't walk. I literally was in a
Oh,
wheelchair for about a week, but my gout flared up, and so I went into a clinic, and I'm like, "You have got to give me some relief. Somebody needs to aspirate this knee joint." I to say it's the size of a basketball was no joke. I'm 6'2". At that time I weighed 298 pounds. I was a fat guy, so it is. But my knee was swelled up. I could not walk. And so the doctor was like, "Well, I don't know if I can aspirate." And I said, "Well, here's what you're going to do. Either you aspirate it, or on the way home, I'm going by the co-op. I'm a farm boy. I'm going to find my own freaking needle. I will pull it." Because here's the deal. If I cut it or if I aspirate it and I cause even more damage, it can't be worse than the pain I'm feeling right now by not being able to walk.
that's
They
awful.
pulled, so one quadrant of my knee at that moment, they pulled out 50 cc's of fluid out of one quarter of my joint.
Holy smokes. That's
I've
crazy.
got a picture of people are like, no freaking way. I'm like, that's 1/4 of my knee. They did all of them, pulled out over 200 cc's of fluid out of my knee. That was, I'm like, so what made my knee do that? And they can't tell you that. They don't, they did analyze it and it was really high in sodium. That's another conversation we'll have in a minute. And I'm like, but the uric acid was high. Okay, it was, but it wasn't like astronomical high. And so that was kind of like the crux of where I really started falling down bad. So I got better. I did at the time. I do a lot of work with different contractors. While I was on my way, I live in Northwest Arkansas, just for everybody. Walmart World, Bentonville, and uh, but I live here. But I was doing some work in Florence, Alabama, for a contracting company. I was on my way there. I got there. I did my job. Terry, I said, look, you want you come with me? Just, I'm going to be here 2 days. And then we've got family that live in Franklin, Tennessee. It's an hour and a half away. We'll spend spring break with them and their family. We'll meet our boys up there and we'll just have a good time. Okay. So that was a plan. So I go do my job. I'm feeling okay, but I'm not feeling the best. I get to Franklin. We're having dinner that night. I love sashimi. I like sushi, but I love sashimi. So I'm having a big plate of salmon and raw fish, and I am enjoying myself. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm awakened by my left arm is numb, like numb. My left leg is numb and I cannot walk, and my left side of my face goes numb. I can't. Terry gets me up, and I'm like, call an ambulance. I'm having a stroke. I know that's what it is. They rushed me to the doctor. So by 5 o'clock, I'm in the. Me being a Southern boy, there's part of me going like, get me in there, get me out. So they finally get me in. The lady that was the doctor on call at the emergency room in the hospital, local hospital, she was she is retired, not ex, she was a retired Army Iraqi uh, trauma doctor.
Okay.
She took one look at me and she's like, they look at me going like stroke, right? They're
Right.
like they're stripping my shirt off, they're throwing leads on me, they're drawing blood. I've got like 5 people around me. I didn't know you could do all that, but they were doing a whole bunch of stuff. And she came back about 10 minutes later and she said, well, here's the deal. You're not having a stroke. There's nothing wrong with your heart. Your heart's as strong as an ox. And I'm like, what in the heck? She goes, I think I know what this is, but I'm going to confirm it. I go off in a room. I go do a test and they knock me. I'm out. I passed out and the pain was so bad. But when I came back, she said, here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to give you a shot of morphine. You've got in Tennessee, which means if I diagnose you right now, I'm going to have to treat you, which means you need an operation, but it's not life threatening at this very moment. Here's what I want you to do. Take this file. I'm printing it out for you. Everything I've done today, take it back to your doctor. And I said, okay. And she said, and if he will not read this, pardon my French, ladies, fire his fucking ass. Because this should have been taken care of a long time ago. And I'm like, what the hell is it? She said, don't. She told my wife, didn't tell me. So anyway, because I'm the patient, if she had told me, she would have to quote unquote treat me. So when I was
Gotcha.
walking away, so anyway, so we get home, and sure enough, I go to my doctor, I hand them the file, and guess what? My doctor looks at it. I'm not touching that. That's out of somebody else's network. And at that moment, that I'm just saying that's another network. I can't, that doctor's, and he looked at me and he said, buddy, I can't touch that. That's in somebody else's network. And I said, you know what? And I can tell you that doctor, that veteran,
Yeah.
the love, and I may have been because I was just in so much damn pain, but the love and concern she had for me and focus she had on saving my life changed me. I could tell she really truly wanted to help me in a way it was like, I mean, I've never seen a dedication and focus from a doctor. Granted, she's in emergency, so I'm sure she works in a different world,
Mhm.
trauma, all this kind of stuff, and all that. So she has a different viewpoint, and she comes across differently than most doctors do. She definitely is not a GP, but it changed me, Erica. It changed me to a point of going like, and she told me, she said, when she told me to fire my doctor, the look in her face was like, this, your doctor provides a service for you. And if you're not getting the service you deserve, what the hell are you doing? And it did change me. And so when I came home, and I was shocked when I went to my doctor of 15 years, and I'm not touching that. That's somebody else's network. I'm like,
Wow.
dude, you're fired. And he looked at me and he goes, who the hell do you think you're talking to? And I said, you can't look at this. This is part of the problem. And he goes, I'm not touching it. And I'm like, then you're fired. I walked literally out of his office a block and a half away, like you know how doctor uh,
They're like
offices are
community.
today.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're on their own. Yeah, they truly are their own little community. I walked out to another doctor and I said, hey, I walked in there and I said, it's a long shot. Is Rex in? Yeah, Rex is in. Okay, boom. I handed him my file and he goes, I said, can you read this file? He said, sure. I said, somebody else's network. He goes, nah. So he looked at it. He goes, son of a buck. I'd never even thought about looking there. I tell you what, I can't use her information, but I can rerun these tests today if you want to, and let's get it in our own network. So they did a CAT scan on me right there, got me in for a CAT scan. Like an hour and a half later, found out I had 24 gallstones, four of
Holy
them the size of
smokes.
the size of marbles. Right here, I got my little. There they are. You can hear them. They're but listen. That
Thank
also this
you.
is the significance. It's a stone. You can hear them, right? Sound
Yeah.
like sound like those little things with the Mexican. What do you call it?
They're like maracas.
There you go. It's what it sounds like, but made out of gallstones. And so, and so that's that, and that right there also for listeners and for your viewers, that's significant that there's stones in that cup, right? They're stones. You can
Right,
hear
right.
them. There's
Yeah.
not there's no BS there. So I come home. I'm like, I've got gallstones. He put me in for surgery. Here, it was 2 months wait. That's what it usually is for a lot of people. You had to get in the queue. So I got 2 months. I got to wait. Well, but he doesn't like 2 months. I'm a guy. I want to fix the freaking problem. What do we got to do here? And I had a friend of mine who's a naturopath, and I'm not against naturopaths. So don't go up down me that road. But I will tell you this. So this naturopath is like, oh, you don't need surgery. You need to flush these things out. And I'm like, you can do that? And she goes, absolutely, you can do that. And I'm like, holy crap. So I went to another naturopath. I talked to her. And I went to three altogether. And I'm like, I got the same thing. You can flush these things out. And I'm like, let me at it. And she gave me a book. And there's a very popular book on Amazon. There's a very popular group on Facebook. Well, here's the deal. I read it. I looked at it. I did not know the importance of the physiology of the human body. I didn't know that the bile duct was the size of a coffee stirrer, which is about 4 millimeters, about the size of an ink pen filler. That's about the size of them. I didn't know how big the gallbladder was. So, since you're videoing, here is a life size pancreas and gallbladder. Life size.
Mhm. Okay.
Here's my hand.
Oops.
This is
Hang
not, right? There's my hand. This is not a big mechanism of, conglomeration of organs. They're all tightly knit right in one little area of your body, right? So here's the gallbladder. This is the duodenum. This is the pancreas. And that's all. The liver sets up here, right? So, but that organ, look at my thumb. I got big thumbs. I'm a big guy. But look at that. I mean, there's the gallbladder. It's no bigger than my thumb. It's not a big organ, but it has got a huge responsibility.
Yeah, so basically
Okay?
your gallbladder was chock full of stones.
Exactly. Chock full of stones. And my stones are Bilirubin stones, there are different ones. There's some that are cholesterol stones, which means there's too much cholesterol in the bile and it precipitates out and creates stones in your gallbladder. But then you got bilirubin stones, or dark color ones, and there's two shades of dark. One's a brown, one's an actual black. Well, the bilirubin stones are just a different type with calcium intertwined in it, but it usually means you got something wonky with the liver. That's me. So I've got, in fact, I've known all my life that my doctor's always been like, do you have or a touch of hepatitis or something? And it's like, it is what it is. And hey, I've lived 57 years, but I know now how to take care of myself. I didn't know then, but that's why I had those color stones. So, but real quick, so I do the gallbladder flush. I do this thing. I drink apple juice, and so I have to give them. I have to give them all a jab, because this is why I get this every day, at least 10 times a day in my group. We let in there's about 300 qualified people get into my group every day, or every week, every week. And a lot of people they want to ask the same questions they did. Can I save it? Can I do this? Can I do that? And I tell everybody, we are pro surgery if, big capital if, your gallbladder is giving you pain and discomfort and keeping you from doing your duties as a mom, as a dad, we've actually got some children in there that have pain so debilitating.
We have children having gallbladder stones.
We've seen 4-year-olds that they literally their gallbladder comes out developed with gallstones.
Oh, it comes out that way. Okay. Oh
Yep.
My goodness. I've never heard of children having gallstones.
Yep. Think about it. I mean, it's either, and here's what doctors will tell you, it's either genetics. Your grandmother had it, your great grandmother had it, it's passed down. And when it say genetics, it's usually genetics, either what they call hyperactivity, which means the gallbladder just ejects all of its contents super fast, which doesn't do you any good, or super slow, or like low functioning, call it, which means basically you don't have a gallbladder anyway. We've had several people in the group that have been born with no gallbladder. Oh. Not there. The organ's absent. So we've had those. But by and large, you're going to find that if you're fertile, you're going to have gallstones. That's just it.
What?
Fertile. If you're a female,
so basically, like everyone is going to have gallstones to some degree.
So here's statistics: 20 million cases a year are diagnosed in the United States. 20 million of gallstones. Now, like I said before when we were doing it, so I'll pick on you. Erica goes to the doctor for a UTI infection, and they happen to run an ultrasound on you, and then when they do, they're doing a abdominal ultrasound. Well, they'll find, she's got some gallstones. Okay, note in your file, Erica has gallstones. Doesn't tell you a whole lot, just you've got gallstones. Well, when you come in the future, if you do go back and you've got some right upper quadrant pain, they can, wait a minute, maybe one of these gallstones are acting up. But you would be reported as, patient XYZ has gallstones. Well, you'd be put into that category. You have asymptomatic gallstones. They are not bothering you. They're there. But of that 20 million, less than 1 million people have gallbladder surgery every year.
Okay.
Now, so real quick, we got to go. We got to start there and go. I don't want to jump back, but I want to tell the story real quick. So I do the flush. I do 2 flushes. I do the flush, but I drink the apple juice. I'm doing everything.
It's apple cider, right? Apple cider?
No. Apple juice, because the malic acid in the apple. This is what. Look, I'm an educated guy, and this is what really got me. So you do the apple juice. That's supposed to soften the gallstones. Okay, that's what I was saying a while ago. Soften the gallstones. So, they're not soft. So soften the gallstones. Then you drink that for like 5 days, and then you do a flush you take a lot of Epsom salts and you empty yourself out, and then you drink a half a cup to a quarter to a half a cup of olive oil and lemon juice mixed together, or grapefruit juice, a citrus juice mixed together, and you drink it down, go to bed at night, lay down, get up the next morning, and it supposedly has pulled all the gallstones out of you, and you go to the bathroom, hey, your commode's clean and all that kind of stuff, and you're like excited going, hey, I want to see what comes out of me, and all these green globules come out of you. You're like, holy smokes, I just got rid of all my gallstones. That's incredible. So here's the inquisitive mind where Buddy, this is how Buddy ends up with a gallbladder group. This right here is I do my thing. I scoop them up with a net and I put them on a paper plate with paper towel, and I'm looking at them and I'm fascinated. This came out of my body and I feel good. This must work. 2 hours later, my wife goes walking by and she goes, where's the gallstones? I said, what do you mean? Well, the paper was discolored, but there were no gallstones. They'd melted. That was not significant to me. I mean, in my head, I'm a scientist, and I'm like, what is, okay, wait a minute. So I feel good enough. I'm like, I'm going to do it again. So I wait and I do it again. But then I'm going to save some. I've got a lab close to me. I'm going to save some. I'm going to take some to a lab. So I do the gallbladder flush again. It's significant. 2015, April the 1st is when I do the gallbladder flush. I now know it was a what they call epiphanal moment in my life of April 1st. We know now I shouldn't have done it. So, but April 1st, I do that flush, the last flush. I feel better for a moment, or I'll say a moment, just a little while during the day, and then I started hurting, and I did not know what was going on, but I'll push through it. 27 days later, pain increasing every single day. Finally, I called No Joy, and I cannot handle this pain anymore. I go into the emergency room. They send me home with morphine. We know you got gallstones, and we know that you're got scheduled. So they give you morphine, and you feel better. You feel better. Okay, I go back next day. It's the same freaking thing. It's just getting worse. I go in the second day, and my surgeon's like, "You're not leaving." Mm-hmm. So emergency surgery. I had not paid attention to my body, other than I was in pain, and I was beginning to go jaundice. I did not know that. So I don't know what that means, but I heard that terminology. I know what it means now. But I go through the emergency surgery. That's when the doctor comes in afterwards. It was supposed to be a 45-minute surgery. It was almost a little over 2 hours, I think, or right under 2 hours. He gangrene gallbladder, number one. My gallbladder went gangrene. I had severe pancreatitis. I had a gallstone in my sphincter of Oddi, which is my gallstone had traveled from the little organ here down the little green pipe all the way down here to right there to this thing. So that bile duct was plugged up, and it couldn't.
That's not good.
My body could not drain. My liver backed up, so I was having sluggish liver pain. I was having all these issues. And when he got out, he goes, you got pancreatitis, you got a gangrene gallbladder, you got a 12% fatty liver, you've got your kidneys are not producing where they should be producing. You've got, see what the hell else was, there were some other things in there. But nevertheless, it was major, major stuff to get me through that operation and to get me back on track. And so I finally get healed. I go through the surgery. I'll say a significant part is I was so sick the last month that my weight went from 298 to 265 in less than a month.
Wow.
And that is common with gallbladder attacks and issues you don't want to eat. I got down to crackers and water. That was all I was eating. That was it. I would sip. It would take me a whole day to do a bottle of water because everything was just pain. Everything was pain. And so
it's amazing to me how long it took for them to do surgery, right? You would think when there's someone in such severe pain and with that many stones that they'd want to get you in sooner because of, regardless of a flush or not, couldn't the stones have passed down and blocked regardless?
Yeah, I mean, the flush is just aspirated thing. That's all it did. It is exasperated. The reality is, people come into our group every day with a gallstone in their bile duct. It's albeit small, but it's a place where, that little bile duct's only like less than 6 inches long, but it's significant that it's not made to pass stones. So if a stone gets in it, it's excruciating to pass a stone. But then passing the stone through the bile duct in and of itself is bad. But the sphincter of Odie is just like another sphincter that our body has. It's made to stay closed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when you get to that point, that stone doesn't want to go through that sphincter of Odie. And so it becomes worse until it finally becomes inflamed enough. And you'll hear people say, I had to have an ERCP, where they went through your stomach with a tube with a little wire on it that they go in. They go down through the stomach into the duodenum with that little diagram, a little model I showed you, and then they go up through the sphincter of Odie with their little wire, little capture, and they get that gallstone. They pull it out, drop it in the intestinal tract, and let it go on. Or if they're infected, they'll actually go in and put a stent in there and open that up and let it drain.
Okay.
There's a lot of procedures that are done because we get infected in places, and all, so we all end up having all these weird issues and stuff that some people literally get diagnosed, have surgery, and on back to work within days. People like me, it literally took me years. Had I known what I was dealing with, the significance of it is I would have gotten it out a long, long time ago. I would have literally gotten it, but whatever path was set before me, that's the path I walked. However it came out, but it enabled me. When I came out of surgery, I had terrible digestive issues. I was the typical, and this is why I did it. Point blank. Why did you do a gallbladder flush, and why were you so afraid? Because everyone I talked to said if you have gallbladder surgery, you will have diarrhea, permanent diarrhea, the rest of your life. I hear this story thousands of times a week in my group.
I'm assuming that's
People,
not true.
I don't have it today, but here's what I've learned. I've learned a lot of stuff. One, you will have to change your diet. Here's the deal. About 80% of the cases that I've seen, and this isn't buddy reporting or guru reporting. This is like NCBI. This is like, Reuters. It's different medical publications post. About 30% of the patients that have gallbladder surgeries, cholecystectomies, have issues afterwards.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of it is diet related, that their diet was poor to begin with. And now you're sensitive to it and your body needs to make change. You don't need to eat as much fat as you've been eating, or more importantly, like sugars.
Mm-hmm.
Most everybody who has gallstones has fatty liver.
Yeah, that's what I
The
was going to
fatty,
ask you. I want to talk about prevention for a minute, because I think that
right.
there's, everyone listening is going to be like, okay, great. I don't want to have gallstones, or even if I do have some and I
Yeah.
don't know
So
I have
what can we
some,
do? What can we do on the preventive maintenance side of
yeah.
things? I will tell you, here's the deal. You need good fats. The brain needs really good fats to operate with, so you can't go low fat diet. I mean, a lot of people will argue the point, but low fat diets usually do not work. You just need a good balanced diet for your type. And I say that because I am a huge stickler in my practice. I do genetic reporting, and genetics tell me what your diet should be and what it shouldn't be. Literally, what makeup are you? Your saliva, your genetics tells you what you should eat, what you shouldn't eat. Believe it or not, I've proven it 100 times. So it's really interesting watching. Everybody tries to make their own move, but they do it with no guidance. And you as an FDN, probably one of the biggest things was test, don't guess.
Yep.
When you really think about it, people are literally walking blind through life guessing.
All the time. All the time.
Right? And it's just like, but now I've become so obsessed with tests. Whether I use them all the time, but whether they're going to help me, I don't want to give a pill for an ill, a supplement. I want to help change your lifestyle.
Mhm.
Me, I mean, I take a bile salt. I do take that. I have to have it. No gallbladder. I do take a bile salt, Tudka. I take a digestive enzyme only because I'm 57 years of age, and we all know that digestive enzymes start to slow down after the age of 50. So it's fine. I don't have a problem with it. I take a few other things, but mostly I eat good foods. And that's where I've found my body to rest at. So getting back to preventive, if find yourself having gallbladder pain and suffering, you're probably going to have to go low fat because fats are what trigger the gallbladder to squeeze. When you eat a fatty meal, the bile, so let me give you a real quick education on bile. Bile does a myriad of things, but real quick, it is the fluid the liver uses to get rid of toxicity. So the liver, you and I know, but our clients and our audience, the liver takes all your medications, takes all your toxicities, and it renders it to go useful into the bloodstream to be utilized by the body somewhere, or it says, "Hey, no, this is a toxin. Let's make a change to it, and let's excrete it via urine or feces."
Mhm.
Okay, if it goes into the feces, then it's going to go into bile. Okay, if it goes into bile, so the bile from the liver into the gallbladder is really toxic. It's got a lot of junk in it. It really is. But the bile goes into the gallbladder and gets concentrated. So the gallbladder's function. I'll say that the little organ had a function. So here's what it does. It will take liquid bile. By the way, here's a fun fact. Your liver makes about a pint of bile every 8 hours. The liver does. That pint of bile, close to that. So don't beat me up on it. It's close.
Estimated.
It's right. But it's significant in an 8 hour period. But the gallbladder, so let's just say we eat every 8 hours. No, not everybody does, but usually we get into the standard American diet. We're going to do breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So we're going to be close. We're going to be every 6 anyway. So you look at it, the gallbladder takes that fluid or some of that fluid in, and it concentrates it super, super dense to where a little goes a long way. Remember, the organ's size of your thumb. It's not very big. So a little bit has to be, and so the bile is high alkaline. So when your stomach contents that's low alkaline, right, acid,
Mhm.
when it comes out of the stomach into the duodenum or starting into the small intestine doesn't like acidic stuff. So at that convergence of stomach into your bile, into your digestive tract, bile is ejected at the right time to neutralize stomach acid. That's one of its big things. It neutralizes the stomach acid. At the same time, if there's fat in there, it emulsifies fat. Think of Dawn dishwashing liquid to your fat in your stomach. That's what it does. Like one little drop, boom. Think about that. The significance.
Yeah.
We've seen the commercials. One drop of this of Dawn dishwashing liquid, how it makes the fat move away. It's not unlike what our bodies do with bile. Okay, so it's very significant that we have high quality and concentrated biles. It's strength. At that point in the process, the stomach acid is neutralized, bile has come in, but now the bile with all of its toxins are mixing with your digestive fluids and juices and foods and all that stuff, and it starts its journey. Well, purposely the bile, I tell everybody, think of bile has dump trucks in it. Now, this is a weird analogy, but just think about it. So the dump trucks are carrying your toxins. Okay, they get into your digestive tract, and in your digestive tract, if you don't have the proper amount of fiber in your diet, which most people eating the standard American diet
You're
do
not.
not, so if fiber is the mechanism for the dump trucks to offload their toxicities onto the fiber then grabs it and escalates it to evacuate. If that doesn't happen, those dump trucks make their way still loaded right back through the intrahepatic loop, go right back up into the liver, and the liver looks at them going, "Hey guys, I told you to offload." And he goes, "I can't. There wasn't no place to undo it."
Yeah. So
Okay.
we
Now,
we're recirculating toxins
we do it all the time.
when our
We do it.
digestive system is
And
not
that's how
working.
I got toxic over a 27-day period. My body was just like, I can't get rid of this stuff. My body, so it's just every day. And this is what happens over time with a lot of us. This is what happens to a lot of diets. It happens to a lot of lifestyles. If you smoke, if you drink, if you do, crazy stuff, over a period of time, the liver is just like, guys, you're beating the crap out of me. I can't do anymore. And our bodies are out of balance, and we don't have the proper diet. We don't have enough fiber. We don't do enough exercise. We don't, that's like our dress protocol. We don't do enough of supplementation. You're older now. You need a little bit more going on and stuff, and you need to pay attention to what's going on. We don't do that. We just try to live our lives, eating our jelly donuts, eating our popcorn, eating our pizza. Pizza, I swear to God, I love that stuff. But in my group, it's like the most evil thing ever, simply because everybody wants to eat pizza. Everybody wants to eat. And it's like, that's what they miss. It's like, do I have to give up pizza? And you know what? I give up pizza.
Yeah.
Not permanently or not, I just don't eat it as often. I eat it once a month, maybe.
So have you heard, I have a quick question. I know we're coming up on time, and I'm like, I'm going to have you back so we can talk about more. But have you heard or read anything about a correlation of people who have a sensitivity to gluten, but haven't cut it out, and that causing specifically a correlation between gluten and gallbladder problems?
Here's what I'll tell you. It's probably that and more. It's anything if anything that gives you any kind of inflammatory markers, your body's going to respond to it.
And
it doesn't matter. People that smoke are going to have a little bit different thing to it. People that are around different things. I just tell you, gluten sensitive. But I'll give you real quick on me. I had gluten sensitivities, right? I had tested gluten and lactose intolerant, right? Now, I come out of surgery and I can eat pizza. I can eat all this stuff. I don't have any issues anymore. I don't have any issues. What I do find is I did a DNA test and I found out that I have a metabolic system that does not like, it's a celiac. And so I have to watch what I eat. But here's the big but, and I mean this in big capital letters. My metabolism in my body says, buddy, you cannot stand oxalates and you cannot stand histamines. In fact, your Norwegian roots mean you need to eat a ton of oily fish and lean meat, no veggies. I'm carnivore. And I don't have diarrhea. I don't have none of those issues. I don't have anything. My skin looks good. I feel good. I got energy out the wazoo. But that's not for everybody. But I'm saying for me, that's what I have found, and I've embraced the love of foods. I have to do this. I have to make changes. Now, is it different than what I did, Erica, 10 years ago with the standard American diet, eating corn and potatoes and tomatoes and all this kind of stuff out of the garden? Totally different. But you know what? I'm better. I feel it. I feel better today, age-wise, at 57 than I did at 37 and 27 and 47.
I believe it. I think so many people's health issues, they start so young. We don't realize how bad we feel until we kind of hit rock bottom, right? I have that story, and I was, quote, healthy. I was doing everything right, but I was missing the detoxification part. Right. That was a big thing for me. And everyone has like their things if they're dealing with health things. But so many times, like you said, we go to a medical professional and there's a time and a place for it. And they're like, oh, well, your labs look pretty good, so it's all in your head. And we preach it all the time. And it's just like, But if you intuitively know there's something more going on, you got to
Advocate.
look outside the box and keep searching for
Absolutely.
the right people. And I'm
I'm
here and you're here and so many
it's
other.
well, so real quick. I know you're coming up on time, but for me, it was like I've tried looking for those answers and I couldn't get them. And I'm like, not that I'm the end all be all guy, but I was like, okay, after surgery, everybody just told me, said, go to Sam's Club, big wholesale place, get Imodium AD and get Depends, and you're set. And I'm like,
Ah, oh
what kind
my
of,
God, people told you
what,
that?
oh, hundreds of people told me this because that's the way they live. And here's the deal, though, Erica. You know why they live that way? Because I want to eat my pizza. I want to eat my McDonald's. I'm not going to change my standard American diet. I am not going to change my diet, so I will do stuff on the other side. And it's like, what in the hell is that doing to you internally? Inflammation wise, health wise, what is it doing to you to have that kind? One, I mean, there's a million things that could be going wrong. No, I refuse to live that way. So I need to find out what works for me. I did all the testing. I went through literally thousands of dollars of testing and supplements without testing, just trying all kinds of crap. The deal is, I could not find a community to ask questions that were real, right? I joined a gallbladder group on Facebook. It was mayhem. It was like it was a bloodbath of diarrhea. Sorry, but diarrhea.
Oh,
Everything you could talk about, every ill thing you could think about after all those horror stories we've heard, it was there. And I'm like, no, I'm going to start another group just to see if I can do it. But I'm putting my story, my spin, i.e., there has to be a better way. Do we have to live like this? And now we're voted number one on Facebook as far as Facebook groups are going. And we're one of the fastest growing out there. We're second behind the one that's like 10 or 15 years old, 10 years old over in the UK. But nevertheless, we only people in our gallbladder group. You got to qualify to get in, which means if you were coming in for your husband, that's fine, but that's it. If you just want to get in there and look around, no. Why do you want to be in our group? And if you do not answer that question appropriately, you're not going to get in the group. But if you get in, we're going to embrace you. We're going to carry you through this thing. We're going to help you on the journey. I'm there as an FDN, to be able to help. Hey, can I satisfy some of your fears right now as you go into surgery? If you're going to go into surgery, can you heal your gallbladder? Some people, yes, it's a dietary change. It's literally just make some really major dietary changes. You can do some stuff. Can you take supplements to shrink stones? There's only one been proven that does it, called Ursidile. It's a chemical product that's out there on the market. It works on really, really, really small stones. Chacopreta, a bunch of these other ones that they use in other countries and stuff, they do not work. They just don't waste your time and money. My big thing is what I felt the whole community out there lacked was people would go into groups and they would find false hope. Take this pill, it'll help you better. Take this, it'll help you better. Take this, it'll help you better. And I'm like, look, it's got to be better than this. We got to be better than this. So we built a community, and that community is thriving like crazy. And I invite anybody who wants to come in. I mean, you can put your link in the podcast and put the link to
yeah,
it. I'll send you the actual link to the group. Remember, you got to qualify to get in. If you're coming in just to look around, you can't get in there. But but that's one of the biggest things. This is a safe haven to talk about digestive issues. Here's an interesting tidbit. I don't know how much time we got left or how much you want to do, but the tidbit is lady cycles definitely trigger gallbladder attacks.
Oh, that's interesting. I feel like I have so many more questions now after talking to you, buddy. We're gonna have to. Well, we gotta schedule another
let's do
time.
part two. Let's just do part two.
You know what? I'm gonna reach out. I think we'll have more questions from our audience, honestly, and then we could do a part two, go deeper. I think talking about the DNA stuff too. I think that's interesting. I've done a little bit of DNA stuff, and it's very interesting when you start to learn a little bit more about
epigenetics. Epigenetics is a huge thing right now in the world and of itself. But boy, just for us trying to figure our diets out and stuff, it's really fascinating. And gallbladder stuff is just one little deal. But just remember this: your gallbladder didn't go bad. Your liver started first. It cascades into your gallbladder and then into your gut. Uh, I'll leave you with this. Um, we have found a direct correlation that any antibiotics, most all antibiotics are given with a surgery, right? If you know you're
Yep.
going into it, you need a high grade spore probiotic before you get into surgery, because what they have found is Ciprobacterium, the big boys of antibiotics, a lot of doctors will give those. They kill the gut microbiome for a year. A year. Amoxicillin, doxycycline, small stuff, right? Take it orally, it'll kill it for 3 to 6 months. What a lot of people have, and in my practice, I have found this, is when they come out of gallbladder surgery, about 2 months afterwards, they start getting a lot of digestive issues. It's simply part of it, a big part of it, is their gut microbiome is shot. And so now you got to rebuild it. So now you're healed up from having pain from a busted organ, but now you got to balance that gut back and you got to get it back right. And so test a few little tests, tweak some things, change that diet around and get some things going. There is hope, right? There is a future without depends and diarrhea and all that other
Oh
kind
my
of crap.
gosh.
I'm telling you, that's if you go out there and look,
Yeah.
if you just Google gallbladder surgery ramifications, that's what you'll find. Most people will tell you you're going to have to make some, the deal
Oh,
is you need to
geez.
make dietary changes to begin with.
Yeah. No, buddy, this is great.
Let's
And
do
I
another one.
just, yes, for sure. We're gonna keep going. We'll keep, we'll just keep it rolling. Buddy, thank you so much. I will be sure to link your group below because it sounds amazing, and I'm so grateful that our paths crossed and
Absolutely.
that
Hey,
we can help
FDN all the
share.
way, right? We're all
Exactly.
advocating for ourselves and stuff. Hey, look me up. Just look up the Gallbladder Guru on Facebook. That's a
Okay.
public page. If you want to get to my group that way, you can go to that public that business page, click visit group, and come on in that way as well. But Erica, it's lovely being around you. I mean, I love your infectious smile and your spirit of helping people and stuff like that. And I mean, I do these things all the time. I chat in the group all the time and whatnot. I love helping people
Mhm.
and
I
giving them
hear
the
you.
right
Me
direction and
too.
stuff. So yeah, it's just fun to do. So that's my life calling now. So I'm here.
Awesome. Well, thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.